Welcome to the VR Gaming Podcast, a podcast focused on VR games because that's what really matters. If you want news, there's Upload VR, Road to VR, and tons of YouTube channels where you can find that. There's been a lot of hardware news lately, but having a 12K, 200 degree field of view wireless headset with eye, face, and dick tracking does you no good without any games to play on it.
I don't know. I want some dick tracking. So can I have the dick tracking, please?
Yeah, I think maybe I heard they're coming out with some cock rings with some IR, LEDs on them. So maybe, I'm kidding. There's nothing like that I'm aware of.
Well,
But
there
we
should
can hope.
be.
There should be.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
I want dick tracking. You made me want dick tracking now.
Yeah. So the guy that wants dick tracking, this is Alex, also known
Yep.
as Virtual Insider on YouTube, and I'm Justin, also known as Mame Fan on YouTube. And we're gonna just talk about the VR games we've been playing.
That's
And yeah. And we played a lot of the same games. We played some of them together. And
Without dick tracking.
without dick tracking,
Oh,
unfortunately.
without dick tracking. Sorry.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't have dick tracking, but did you?
Oh, I did, but I didn't tell you.
Oh shit. Man.
My dick was fully tracked.
Wow. I didn't know that was out yet.
Oh, I've got early access.
Oh yeah, because you are a virtual insider. That's true.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah. All right. So the first one we both have on our list is Walkabout Mini Golf. Everybody probably by now has played Walkabout Mini Golf. Alex and I both have indexes, so we played it with that, and we played it with some guys on his Discord. What did we play? The one I played with you guys was the Labyrinth,
Yeah.
and maybe
They,
one
they
other.
keep putting out. Yeah, they keep putting out loads of DLC courses, and we just keep buying them because they're actually really good and it's a fun game. So there was that one, and then recently they did the what was it 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea? I can't remember the name of it. I did that. I don't think you've done that one yet, but me and a couple of others did that as well, which was really good.
Yeah, I
It's just a
haven't done
really
that yet.
solid social game that it's just really good to play with friends, and just some of the courses are really well done as well. I really like it.
Yeah, the Labyrinth one has actual animated avatars, like from the Labyrinth movie and stuff. But
Yeah, the 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea one, they have like a little intro as well. So you're like in this submarine, and then you come to the main other submarine inside that. It's really cool. They seem to be getting better and better, more elaborate, and they've got these new ones now which are more like themed. So they've got actually licensed their IPs with them, which I'm really liking.
yeah, so you actually rode inside a submarine to the course or something?
Yes, I mean you don't drive it, but it literally it's like a little ride that you take to the actual place where the course is.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's really cool actually.
What was the other one we did? El Dorado?
I think so. We've been doing
Yeah.
some of the hard courses as well. Some of those on the DLC are really, really difficult. But I love the fact that they do like the easy one, and they'll do the hard one with a different theme. So they'll have it at night or in a thunderstorm or something. Really, it's a really great game, and I know a lot of the people in your Discord have like tournaments and stuff on this game.
Yeah.
The physics are really good. I mean, visually, obviously, it's basic, but it still looks surprisingly good for what style it's going for. I just think it's a great. If you want a crazy golf type mini golf game, then this is the best one.
Okay, the next game, I guess you can talk about more than me, but we both played it.
Yeah. Is that Left 4 Dead?
Yeah, Left 4 Dead.
2. Yeah, the VR mod. Did we talk about it last week? I can't remember, but we've been playing that quite a bit, and it's such a great game. I've never actually. Me and you both never played it before until we played the mod, so it's been a completely new experience for us, and it's just. I understand now why people go on about this game because it's so damn good.
Definitely.
It's really chaotic. They just have these hordes that come at you. There's all these special zombies, like the boomers that blow up and put snot all over you, and then all the zombies come running after you, and some that drag you away. And
The
it's
Witch.
just really the witch, which you can't startle. It's just really, to play it in VR for the first time, It's just been amazing. I put about 15 hours into it, and I've not even done all the main campaigns. We've actually been doing some mod campaigns as well, and they're
Wow.
surprisingly good. We did a Ravenholm one. We did like one where you're in Tokyo. There's some really good mod campaigns as well. So there's so much content there. It's the VR support itself is not like it's not the best VR support, I would say. If you need to turn, I would recommend turning the arms off, because otherwise the arms kind of rotate. When you rotate your wrist, the entire arms will move because there's no like inverse kinetics on the hands, and so you've got like floating guns, and it's obviously not got manual reloading, and everything else is button presses. Oh, they've actually added a new update for melee now, so you can actually swing your hands and it'll actually physically hit the zombies. So it's
That's
getting
cool.
better.
It used
But
to require a mod to get rid of the arms, and now you do a config file
yeah,
update.
there's a config file in there. If you just put that to true, I think one of the options to true, you now
Mm-hmm.
no longer have arms, which I
Okay.
definitely recommend. It should be default, I think personally, but
And it was probably better to do that versus the mod because the mod could mess something up, maybe.
I mean, I never had problems with the
Mm.
mod,
Okay.
but I just found it's easier just to have it all by default if you can.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's not for people who suffer from motion sickness though, because it's quite fast paced. It's got a bit of head bob in there as well, which so when you're running around, the camera's moving up and down slightly. Yeah, I mean sometimes I even had to sit down and have a little break because it was getting to me a little bit. But if you can handle it, it's way better than after the fall, which is obviously people say this is after the fall is like Left 4 Dead, but there's no substitute for actual Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, there was a recent update after the fall where I think they added maybe a new level or something, and yeah, we still haven't felt motivated to go in and would rather play Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, because the levels are all the same. It's all just the snow levels,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just not as well balanced, and there's no special enemies and stuff. And there's just something about Left 4 Dead. They've obviously it's a Valve game, so they're one of the best developers in the world. But they just
Yeah.
the way they've balanced the gameplay, and you really have to work together as a team. Because if you separate, then you're just going to get some of the special infected. They're going to basically kill you. So it's just really well balanced, well made game that you can now play in VR with a VR mod.
Yeah. Okay, so the next game is the Half-Life 2 VR mod, and Alex had early access to this because
Yeah,
he knows some of the modders and
it's
stuff.
special.
Yeah, he's special. He's an insider. I played this, and this is what I've been playing the most lately, and I think it's awesome. I actually, if you told me you can either play Half-Life 2 VR mod or play Half-Life Alex, I'd rather play the mod because it's
Mm.
faster and more intense. And Alex, I just always felt like it was too slow
Mm.
and like played it too safe. You couldn't jump. Not that you have to be able to jump in a game,
No, I think
but
that
I don't know.
Alex is a great VR game, but it is very safe. It's obviously been made for people who they know a lot of people new to VR were going to play that game. I still absolutely love Alex, and I still personally prefer it just because of the visuals, the journey, and everything. But Half-Life 2 VR mod has just so much better gameplay. The gameplay is so much better. There's just so much more dynamic gameplay. You're moving a lot faster. There's faster enemies to kill. It pushes you harder. There's some sections, especially towards the end, which are actually genuinely quite difficult, where you've got a load of striders and stuff coming after you. So it's definitely not something that's for beginners. Well, a lot of these mods aren't really for beginners, to be honest, because they're not made for VR. But it's definitely got the gameplay over Alex.
And I didn't even realize you had to watch my video because I've made two videos of this mod so far. You watched my first video and said that I didn't even realize you could press the left stick in to go to sprint.
Oh yeah, you sprint
Yeah.
fast as well. This is
Yeah.
really quick.
Because your regular speed already feels pretty fast, and I always in these types of games like on flat screen, a regular screen, I would always set it to always run. So I just kind of assumed it was always already on always run. But no, you can click and then you can go faster, but only temporarily. There's like a
Yeah,
suit sprint.
Suit cooldown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to do some platform as well in that Half-Life 2. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to sprint a little bit to get past over a gap or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
And then I also didn't even realize on the SMG, I didn't realize I could grab the front to stabilize it. So I was running around with this recoil, not even realizing until he
yeah,
told
I
me.
watched some footage and you were complaining about the recoil, and I was just like, I was just
Yeah.
thinking, yeah, you
Well,
could just grab the front,
you're
and
probably
it's
thinking, dumbass, why aren't you
no. I mean, if you
grabbing?
didn't,
I thought that about myself. Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of VR mods they just don't have that. Where you don't think you can grab stuff in mods
Yeah.
really.
I didn't know the
Whereas
mod
this,
was that good. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you've got full manual reloading. You can two-hand weapons. A lot of the weapons haven't got hand poses, so you kind of just float in guns.
Yeah.
But some of the early ones, like the pistols, the SMG, they have got them, and it is going to get updated over time. It's available on Steam, if anyone's wondering, so you can just download it as like any other VR game. You just need to own Half-Life 2 in your library, and it automatically recognizes it, and it's completely free. So if anyone wants to try it out, just download the mod for free, and you can just play through the entire campaign. There's not the episodes yet, that's coming later, and they are going to be doing more updates with the weapons and with the lighting and stuff. So if you want to wait, it could be worth waiting a little bit later. But I played through the full campaign and I had a really good time with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty far into it, and I haven't seen any visual oddities. Like you would expect to see, in a VR mod, some sort of weirdness, but I haven't seen any.
Well, I was in the test group and there were a lot of stuff that was getting fixed. So
Yeah.
before they even put this out to the public, they spent a lot of time polishing it and getting a lot of the visual stuff sorted out, a lot of quality of life. I've heard some people complain about the ladders. Have you had any problems with the ladders?
I understand what they mean. What you have to do is, there was been an update recently where they fixed something about the ladders, but you just have to get to the top rung and then you just let go. And maybe a lot of people just they don't think of just letting go at the top of a ladder because
Yeah, it works exactly like Half-Life Alex. So you just get towards the top, and if you just let go, you like teleport
yeah,
basically to the top point. Because I was listening to what's that podcast with
recentered.
yeah,
Yeah,
because they were talking about it, and both of them were having trouble with the ladders, and they
yeah,
were saying like they were having to use the thumbstick and stuff. And I was just thinking, I've never had any problems, but maybe that's because I just figured out pretty early on that you just let go and it just springs you to the top.
yeah.
So if anyone's having any problems with it, just climb up and then just let go when you're near the top, and you'll just automatically teleport to, just like Alex, to the top of the ladder.
And if you look at the last update, there was something update they did to the ladder to make it more intuitive for people. I can't remember what it said exactly.
I think they added some sort of tutorial early on
yeah.
to tell people, because I think obviously a lot of people didn't realize that how it
Yeah.
worked.
Okay.
So
I think
they
so.
added that. Yeah, but I mean, once you figure that out, I think maybe once to twice throughout the entire game, and you climb a lot of ladders in this game, so
Mhm.
I've not had any real problems. And like I say, it just feels like a native VR game in that way, with the way they've implemented it.
Yeah. All right, your next game?
What did I play? Oh, I played The Rack, which is about women with massive boobs,
Oh, why didn't I play that?
and that's why I use my dick tracking. No, not really. It was. It's basically pool, and I think this is on Quest App Lab as well, so you can play it on the Quest and on PC, and it's currently free. They were charging money for it originally, and I think they were doing some sort of pay to win bullshit, and they've completely made it free, but it is temporary. So if you want to download this, I would recommend downloading it pretty quickly, because I think they are going to charge for it again. And it's like a social. Did you ever play that Sports Bar
Yeah.
VR?
Yeah, I have that.
Where that's like a social thing where you're in like a bar area and you've got pool and you've got lots of mini games. It's like that, but it's just pool. And you can go into a social room and other people connect and you can play with them, and you've got avatars and stuff. And you can also set up a private VIP room where you just walk in and then you get a code, and then you can give people the code. And there's 2 pool tables in there, so you could have 4 people both playing pool at the same time. There's a massive screen which you can use to play YouTube videos, so we will actually put music on with YouTube. The avatars have got they haven't got legs, but they've got a full body up with all the arms and everything, not like floating hands. And it adds a lot, actually. We were like dancing and messing around and stuff and making gestures to each other, and it was genuinely quite a lot of fun. The pool itself, is decent. It's better than the Sports Bar VR in my opinion. The physics feel more weighty. The balls don't fly about unrealistically. The actual controls is a little bit. They take a little bit of getting used to, and they have improved them. I would definitely recommend putting any feedback in if you do play it because they have obviously been listening because they've improved a lot of things already. But the way it works is you can, if you're near the table, you can press the left trigger, and it'll automatically like put you down to the pool height. So you don't have to crouch over in real life if you don't want to, and then you line up the cue, press the right trigger to kind of hold the cue in place, and then you move the right trigger to backwards and forwards to actually strike the cue and the ball. So once you get the hang of that, it works pretty well. Could still do with some tweaking, but I think overall, especially with it's being free, it's a really good game to play with friends. And obviously, you can play it with other people as well. But we just did the VIP thing and had YouTube videos on and all sorts. It's definitely worth checking out if you want to play pool with some friends online.
So since you don't have to lean over, I guess nobody fell to the floor trying to lean on
No,
the table.
I mean I actually lean over because what I find is that when I'm kind of just stood up, I find it hard to do the cue action with my hand for some reason. I find it easier if I'm actually leaning over in real life, and then I can do it like in real life if I was actually holding a cue.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's probably ways to work around that, but then you wouldn't really be doing a realistic movement with your hands like you were actually holding a cue. But some people literally play it seated, so you could play it seated if you wanted to. Just press the left trigger, and you kind of just pop down to the table at eye level, and you can do it that way.
Okay. Next game, Red Matter 2. Both Alex and I played through this, and I think everybody knows the graphics in this game they're up there with the best graphics in VR. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I was absolutely blown away because I know it's been made for the Quest more than the PC this time round, but somehow it looks even better than the first game. So I don't know how they've done it because from what I've heard, that the Quest version looks virtually identical apart from like dynamic shadows and a bit higher resolution. But it just looks really nice, and there's some massive environments. There's some areas where you're literally out on a planet or a moon and you can see the other planets, Neptune and Saturn in the background. It's one of those games where you will stop quite a lot to look at things and just soak up the details. They've got lots of reflections, really nice material effects on things like metal and glass and things like that. So if you like your graphics, then it's worth playing through it just to look at the visuals, I think. It's also a puzzle game, so there's well, you in fact I talked about it last week, so you tell me what you think of it.
Well, other than the graphics, what I was impressed by the music. It kind of the music made me feel like I was in a Star Wars movie, sort of.
Do you know what it reminded me of?
What?
It reminded me of Aliens movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was certain parts of that music that really reminded me of elements of an Aliens film. But I did actually turn it off after a while because I found it was the same pretty much all the way through.
It did get repetitive, yeah.
So I just turned it off after a while. And I had problems as well where the music would sometimes like the volume would cut in and out. I don't know if you had that problem.
I don't think so.
But yeah, after I like the music, but there wasn't enough variety, and sometimes they just play it all the time rather than have it come in and out on certain moments. So I did turn it off in the end because it's quite a decent length game. I think it took me about 6-7 hours, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So playing that same music over and over drives you nuts after a while.
Yeah. I didn't think the puzzles were that hard for the most part. I feel like I remember Red Matter having toward the end something harder than Red Matter 2
Yeah, there was some stuff in Red Matter 1, there was some stuff I got a little stuck on.
Yeah.
Whereas Red Matter 2, I never really got fully stuck apart from right near the end. I don't know if you got stuck on something towards the end of the game.
Yeah, toward the end I did, when you're with the oxygen canisters, you're messing with those. I think there was, and then...
There was something in a room. I don't want to spoil it, but there's the final room area that was where I mainly got stuck.
Yeah, that took me a while. I actually had to. I knew some of what to enter, but the rest I couldn't figure it out. So I just randomly pushed buttons until I got it. Did you do that?
I actually looked it up online.
Oh, okay.
Because the thing with that one is because the rest of the puzzles are all in the same area. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you're in an area, you know that your solution's there.
Yeah.
Whereas that was one of the only puzzles where you needed to kind of backtrack a bit and find some stuff,
Yeah.
which kind of stumped me a little bit. And I was just getting a little bit. I was getting ready to finish it, if I'm honest. So I kind of just looked it up.
Yeah, at that point, I felt like, all right, I'm ready for this then. Yeah, too. So that's why I was just like, I just was just pushing buttons, and I was close to looking it up, and it just went, the door opened, and I
You
was like,
managed
oh
to
shit,
randomly.
randomly,
That was pretty lucky then, really.
yeah, that was lucky, yeah,
Because there's a lot of combinations. There were like 9 tiles, and you had to get 4 in the right
yeah,
order. So
and I had 2 of them I knew for sure. Is that how you were? Like 2, I know I
yeah,
have, and the
I
other
found
2,
2 of them, and
yeah.
it was the other 2 that I couldn't figure out.
Same exact thing, yeah. So the other puzzle that really annoyed me was that like oscilloscope type one where there's 3 lines that go up and down with the 3 levers. Like that, and like you move a lever and it makes them move differently. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like a sound wave sort of
Yeah,
thing.
like the sound wave type looking thing. Those
Yeah.
types of puzzles annoy the shit out of me.
After a while, yeah, because they reuse a lot of the same puzzle types.
Yeah.
Whereas the first game, I felt like they had a lot more variety in what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think obviously with it being a longer game, they probably just ran out of ideas maybe.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the puzzles in this are very handsy, so you are ultimately twisting knobs and turning dials and levers and stuff.
Yeah.
Just there's nothing. Because some puzzle stuff, you've got to try and figure out what you need to put where, whereas this is kind of everything's generally in front of you. You just got to figure out how to move the stuff around to make a sound wave that matches up with what you need, or you've got to twist some dials to create a path that runs from one side to the other, and you've got to
light puzzle.
Yeah. So they were kind of more formulaic puzzles that were just put into VR rather than something that was really making use of VR, in my opinion. But the controls are really good. Like the way that you twist the dials and stuff felt solid. So there was no frustration with actually doing the actual work, the actual interactions. Because some games, like what was it called, Wanderer, there was some of those where you had to twist stuff, and I found that really annoying. The way that you had to twist the dials. And there's another one. What was it? What's that escape room one? I Expect You to Die too.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those where you have to twist the dials were just felt really clunky.
Oh yeah, that was clunky. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least with this, you never found you were struggling. You were never fighting with the controls. It was just actually just doing what you needed to do.
Yeah. And the one other thing I wanted to say was, you told me there was going to be combat, and I was actually surprised by how much combat there was with these drones.
Yeah, they come in quite late, like probably halfway through,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the best. Like the combat's not the best. I think it's good to spice things up a little bit. I just think that they could have done with. They did do some patchwork to improve like the speed of the projectiles and stuff. Because when I first played it, I felt like I was just spending ages trying to do it. It just got on.
Yeah, the first room where they threw 3 drones at me, I kept getting killed. And then
I know. I don't think I ever died. I think I was just trying to. A lot of times I would just like behind cover, just kind of popping fire rather than being out in the open, which is probably why it took me so long to kill them. Sometimes it just didn't feel very satisfying. It didn't feel like there was a lot of power, or when you were hitting them, it didn't feel that satisfying.
Yeah. You had to hit them. You had to hit them in a specific spot, and it was hard to aim.
Yeah, you had to kind of. They had like weak points that you had to remove.
Yeah.
But I think they might have been better off just kind of you hitting them, because sometimes just hitting them was hard enough. So, let alone hitting a specific part of the actual drone.
Yeah, you needed a sight or something.
I preferred the flying. Do you know those ball ones? I preferred fighting those. I thought they were more entertaining.
Yeah.
Easier to kill, and they moved around and stuff.
Definitely easier to kill. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I think they were better than the like droidy, like humanoid type of ones.
Yeah. So I guess you're up. No.
Oh yeah, what's next on my list? Neon White. I don't know if anyone knows what this game is. I didn't really know much about it.
I played it yesterday.
Oh, you played it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I never really knew much about this. I'd seen some gameplay of it, but I never really paid much attention to it. They've got this weird card system, which makes it look like it's going to be some sort of card game, and then there's loads of like, how do you describe it? Not it's not anime. I don't even know what you is it like anime. I don't know. It's like these strange looking kind of cartoony
Yeah, they're
characters.
like ink blobs, ink or sort of like.
No, I mean like the. Do you know
Oh,
the
you're talking
story?
about the protagonist. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah,
do look like anime.
yeah. And they kind of. I didn't pay any attention to it when I was playing it, but when I saw the actual footage of it, it put me off that
Yeah.
side of things. But when I actually played it, it's so good. I mean, one of the best games I've played in a long time. It's basically a speedrunning game where you have to go through these levels. It reminds me of To the Top, but in my opinion, a lot better. And you get these cards, which are basically just power ups. So what you do is you have like a gun, so you'll have like a pistol. You can shoot it like a pistol, and then you'll have your card, which you can discard. So if you discard that card, it gives you like a power, which will give you with the pistol. You get an extra jump, so you can like do a double jump. And as you progress through the levels, you get more and more of these weapons, which have different abilities. So some of them will give you like a dash move. Some will give you like a bomb that you can fire out. There's some that give you there's like a rocket launcher where you can do rocket jumps, and then the secondary fire is a grappling hook, and it just gets more and more crazy. And you're going against the clock, so you've got to get through these levels as fast as you can. You've got to kill a certain amount of demons, which all look different and have different abilities, and they also give you different drops. So they'll give you different cards when you kill them, and you've got to get through them. You've got bronze, silver, gold times. I think there's platinum times as well if you really want to do that. So then you have to do those times. If you want to progress, you have to get golds in a certain amount to be able to unlock the rest of the mission. So you have to go back and then, get better. And it's just really addictive to try and just beat your time and just get that gold for each level. I just found it really fun. I've not finished it yet, but I've played quite a lot of it, and it just gets better and better in my opinion.
What chapter are you on?
I don't know. Probably about 7 or 8, something like that.
Oh,
Quite
shit.
far in. Yeah.
Okay, I'm only in chapter 2,
Yeah.
and so far I'm not crazy about it.
Really?
Yeah, I prefer I prefer your example was To the Top. I prefer
Yeah.
To the Top a lot more than this.
Okay. Well, I'll keep playing and let me know
Yeah.
because it does get crazier. So,
Yeah. Well,
like when you get to the rockets, that was the most fun I'd had with the rockets because you literally use the rockets to jump, like rocket jump, and then you're using grappling hooks to fly
Wow.
through the world.
It's hard for my brain to keep track of all of these abilities and the discard abilities like that you have to do because you have to time them perfectly, and I'm like, it's a struggle for me. I don't know why. Like,
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know because you can actually switch cards, but you really don't
Yeah.
need to. The thing is, the levels are designed to just give you what you need at the time.
yeah,
So I didn't really think about what card I had and stuff.
okay,
And after a while, I did find my brain was just automatically seeing the color of the card, knowing what I could do, and then I would automatically think, right, I've got that card, so I'm gonna have to do this next. And it would just so after a while, you kind of just flow without even having to replay a lot of the levels because you just automatically know yellow card. Now I can do a double jump, so you're automatically looking for the next section where you're probably going to need to do a double jump. So it does get better. I mean, I'd say the more you play, the better it gets. So I would definitely. I mean, it's definitely your sort of game. I guarantee that if you keep playing, you're going to absolutely love it.
yes, the card thing. I kind of wish. I guess I'd probably like it more if it didn't have the card thing and you just had like a certain set of powers.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll just get used to the card thing.
You will. I don't like the card aspect,
Yeah.
but ultimately the cards are just power ups. They just,
Yeah.
you've got a gun. You can just transform that gun into another, like alternate fire basically.
Yeah.
But once you use that alternate fire, then that gun's gone. So you can only use it once. So there's
Yeah. So you have to
Some of the-
restart. You have to restart the level a lot. If you fail,
yeah. If you fail, I mean, what I've been doing is just getting through the level and then
Yeah.
moving on to the next, and then coming back when I need to get the golds, rather than constantly trying to get the gold first time, because I think that would be too frustrating.
Yeah, because you have to do well enough to be able to even progress to the next, like to unlock the next levels.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
just get through a full mission, get through all of them,
Yeah.
and then if I needed to go back, I would just go back and get a few to get to the next one. But I
Hmm.
found it quite fun sometimes because it gets quite a lot with the later levels. So I found myself getting to a certain point where I was just getting a bit tired of like, having to repeat a certain level. So I would just
Hmm.
go back to some of the older levels and get some of the golds because when you've done some of the later levels, because they get harder and harder,
Hmm.
when you go back to the first earlier levels, they feel really easy. So you kind of like you still feel that sense of progression by going back and then getting the golds because you can just breeze through them like really easily when you've been doing some of the harder levels.
Hmm. And oh yeah, and so the cutscenes are on your in your left hand, like they're sort of like you're holding a sheet of paper or something. You would say, right?
Yeah,
And they
the way
just
he's done all the menus
yeah,
and stuff, he's just done it with your left hand. So
yeah.
you just hold your whatever. If you look at your left hand, you can see the menus. You can see
Hmm.
the map where you select where you need to go. You can see the conversations. You can skip the conversations
Yeah.
by pressing a button, which I did every single time because the dialogue is absolute fucking dog shit. But
Yeah.
it's not my
Yeah,
cup
I
of tea.
tried to listen to some of it, and then I decided, yeah, I gotta skip all this
I
crap.
tried for about 10 seconds, and the voice
Yeah,
of the woman who was talking to me was just irritating me, and I just skipped forward.
yeah,
It sounds so stupid. They go on for quite a while apparently as well. They're not
yeah.
like
It's long.
short things. So
Yeah,
because when you fast forward, it fast forwards it like 10 times, and sometimes it's even at 10 times it takes 30 seconds for it to get through. So imagine
hmm,
that
hmm.
on real time. The ages.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should mention that this is it's not a free mod at the moment. You have to pay for it through early access. It's on itch.io for how much was it? $4, I think.
yeah, and also on Patreon, if you go to Raiku Parta's Patreon page, it's RAICUPARTA.
Yeah, I think you can do it through Patreon, and it's the same price or very
Mm-hmm.
similar price,
Four
and you
dollars
also
is
get
the minimum. Yeah,
and you get access to his other mods through that. So you
yep,
get Trombone Champ, which we'll talk about in a minute. You
yeah.
get
Outer
what else has got?
Wilds.
Outer Wilds is free now.
Oh,
Firewatch
that's
is
free
free
now.
now.
Yes. So what
Firewatch is
else?
free, which is another previous one. It's got another one.
Pray for the gods. I don't know if that's free.
No, that's through Patreon, and there's Stanley Parable. That's the other
Yeah, oh,
one.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So there is a few there. I personally prefer to just pay for something and just have it because with the
Yeah.
HIO you get free updates as well. So
Mm-hmm.
and it's all due through the app. So you download it through the app like any sort of purchase, and it auto updates, and you just launch it through the app. It's really good. I
Yeah.
like doing it through the HIO.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the game's I think it's like $25 or something. It's not expensive. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if you like that sort of game, you're gonna love it. I really recommend it.
I bought it because you recommended it so much.
I recommend you stick to it. That's what I recommend.
I'll keep trying.
Yeah, I promise you'll love it after a while. Once you get to some of the crazier levels, it'll
Yeah.
be definitely your sort of game.
Okay. So am I up? I think so. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about Bonelab.
Mm.
This will be good.
Yay.
So Bonelab came out recently for $40, and I wasn't expecting to like it because I wasn't crazy about Boneworks. I thought Boneworks was okay, but Boneworks was like what, $10 cheaper when it came out, and I played all the way through that, and I did videos of that, and I had issues with it, but I thought it was okay. But so Bonelab started out with this very weird intro, which to some people is controversial because there's, I think, suicide involved. Then the first thing I noticed, I was like, there's a lot of like fog and like blur. And so I was having trouble making the visuals look as good as I wanted. And if I put it up too high, my performance was really bad. So were you able to put the resolution up as high as you wanted?
No, what they've done is they've just added a lot of volumetric fog to give the more atmosphere. And I do like a bit of volumetric fog, but they've gone way too heavy with it, and it's literally everywhere in the game.
Yeah.
And it does actually make it feel like you've got blur. I actually at one point took my headset off and cleaned my lenses because I thought I had smear on my lenses or something because stuff just looks blurry in the background. I do like it overall. I think it makes the air seem more dense and real. But they've just gone way too hard with it. They just needed to just tone it down a little bit, I think. But I mean, I think personally the visuals are better, but
Mhm.
I just think that volumetric fog kind of makes it a little bit blurry when they could have just picked and choose where to use it.
Don't you think the performance is worse than Boneworks?
Um,
Or did you set settings low for stuff?
no, I tweaked it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of running some stuff high, some stuff medium, and
Okay.
I'm getting pretty solid performance to be honest. But
Okay.
you can turn the stuff down as well because obviously it's made for the Quest as well now. So if you turn stuff really down, you could probably run this on a potato. To be honest.
Okay. So then I started going through this little intro tutorial area and like picking up clipboards. It seemed like picking up clipboards and reading them was how you're going to get the story, and none of it was
Oh,
making
I
sense
ignore
to me.
them. Yeah.
It wasn't making sense. And then I was having grip issues, and I don't know if this is just an index issue, but like my grip on my controller wasn't picking anything up.
Uh,
I had to do like trigger
yeah.
or
That's what you
trigger
have to
and
do.
grip.
Yeah, they've done this weird, very strange decision. Don't know why they've done it.
Hmm.
Where you have to use the grip and trigger to to grab hold of anything, pick anything up. No idea
Wow.
why. I don't know if that's just an index thing or whether that's across the all controllers, but everything you want to do, if you want to climb something, you want to grab something, you want to pick something up, you have to press the grip and trigger at the same time.
Man. I guess
So
you could
so
go into
strange.
the bindings and change it, right?
I don't know because I think the game has to. I mean, I don't know how you would get around it because you would have to literally. I don't know. I don't even know how you get around that because the game
Hmm.
expects you to have the trigger and the grip pressed at the same time. So
Okay. So then uh, there's like skeletons, and you start doing melee with these. Well, the enemies in this game are just usually very easy to kill. They barely have any intelligence, but they first, what do they give you, like a sword, or they give you a club, and it's just felt terrible in my hands, like it was like a pool noodle. And you have to use two hands, but even with two hands, it didn't feel good, like in a game that has good melee, like a blade and sorcery type of game. Um, so then the jump, it I've never liked the jump in this game because when you press jump, he goes down like he's bending his knees, and then he jumps. So I can never. It's really hard for me to time that correctly, and I missed lots of jumps, and it just feels terrible to me. And then I was having issues with the holsters, with getting my weapons to stay in the holsters, with 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 pulling weapons out of my holsters. Were you having that issue, or was that just because I was early in it?
I mean, I think I got used to Boneworks because the holster system's identical to Boneworks.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same situation with that where you've got to press because with the Boneworks, what they did is they had if you wanted to grab anything from your holsters, you needed to press the grip and trigger together to grab the weapons.
In
Which
Boneworks?
yeah, which I
Oh, okay.
personally didn't mind because I personally thought that was a good way for you to stop grabbing weapons when you wanted to grab something else. But the problem is now that because they've made it so you have to use the trigger to grab everything, I'm grabbing ammo when I don't want to. I'm grabbing
Yeah.
guns when I don't want to. I'm grabbing when I've got a weapon in my hand. You usually, if you've got an SMG in your hand and you want to grab the foregrip, you've got to press the trigger and the grip to grab the foregrip. But you
Wow.
also need to use the trigger for the what do you call them on the top the slide to
Mm-hmm.
release the bullet in the chamber. So then I'm grabbing hold of the slide when I want to grab hold of the grip. I'm grabbing hold of the grip when I want to grab hold of the slide. It's just honestly the controls feel an absolute mess. It's
Yeah.
it's worse than Boneworks in my opinion. It just feels so clunky. It's unbelievable.
For me, playing it is like I'm playing Surgeon Simulator. Did you ever play that? Surgeon
No,
Simulator?
but I've seen it, and that's exactly what how I would describe. I described on a Discord the other day. There's a thing early on where you've got to move something to get on top of it to pull a lever, and it felt like a mini boss just trying to move something to climb on top of something to pull a lever. It was just I was fighting with the controls just to do something simple. It's just
Yeah.
I can't believe how they've managed to. I actually didn't mind Boneworks. I thought that the beginning part where you're doing a lot of climbing and physics-based puzzles
Hmm.
was bad, and I thought the ending where they had a lot of climbing was bad.
Yeah.
All the bit in between I thought was decent.
Yeah.
But what they've done now is they've taken the worst parts of Boneworks and they've just put that through the entire campaign. I mean, literally, they have you doing loads of physics-based puzzles. They have you do loads of climbing throughout the entire game. The climbing does feel a little bit better, but it's still clunky as shit. Trying to dismount at the top when you get up to the top of a ledge is just an absolute nightmare. It's just, honestly, I don't know how people can play this and not think that this game is just an absolute piece of shit. I hate it. I'm actually pissed off with it. I've put 5 hours of my life into this game, and I just feel like I've wasted the majority of it. I've had virtually no fun with it. I'm playing it just to see it through, but it doesn't get better. The campaign on Moneworks was bad at the start, but it got better. It doesn't get better. It's just shit consistently.
But it might lead to some good content in the future.
Well, I'm going to make a video on it because I want to fucking talk about this game because it's pissed me off so much. It's just, I don't understand how they've managed to take... Normally, a developer makes something and they take the good parts, so they take what they've learned and they improve on it. And then the stuff that's bad, the thing that people complain about with the first game, like the climbing, or the physics-based puzzle, you lean away from that. But no, it's like they double down on the bad parts and left out the good parts. And there's some of the levels absolute... just the design of the levels. There's one level where you go into a moon, and because after a while they've got this avatar system where you change avatars, and each avatar's got different skills. Like you've got one who's faster, who can climb better, and she was actually quite good fun. I actually enjoyed her because she can climb a lot easier. And then you've got one guy who's massive and he's really strong, and then you've got another one who's really short. And then what they do is they put you in this short character who's really slow and basically useless. They put you in this moon level, which is this massive open area, like huge. It's the moon with a few like buildings that are massively spread apart, and there's no enemies, there's nothing to do, there's no interaction. They don't tell you what you need to do, so you're literally just walking for ages between these two buildings, not having no clue what you need to do. It was just a complete waste of time. I don't even know if the developers just put that in there just to take the piss. I don't know what they were thinking of.
Is the gravity weird too? Is the gravity weird?
You've got lower gravity, but there's nothing to do there. You're literally in a big open space. The buildings. It's just I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that this was the level that they decided. And I keep wanting to actually get through this game, and I play for 30 minutes, and I have to stop because I'm frustrated. It's just.
I wish I had video of your frustration.
I wish
I will. I will eventually. I will. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna make a video and I'm gonna go through this thing because I don't know what they've done, but they've just made everything worse. In my opinion, there's not much that's better in this game over the first game.
Okay. So you played it more than me.
Yeah. And the direction is terrible. Well, you got to the hub area, so you got through that intro section.
Yeah, so that was
the
next thing I was going to talk about. You get through the intro tutorial crap, and then you get to the hub, and you have no fucking idea what. You just see all these different doors, and you go to the door, and then in my case, you're lucky if the door even works. When I first got there, the doors weren't even working. Like I would see a menu, and then I could click on an item, and then the door would just shut, and then nothing happened. So I didn't know, okay, I must have to go to another door. So then I tried every door in the fucking hub, and none of them were letting me go anywhere. So I had to restart the game and go back to the hub, and then the doors would work. Then I could click on something and I could go inside. And eventually I came across that the crane on top of the roof, and I think, I don't know if I read it somewhere or if I figured out what I had to do. I might have read somewhere like on a Steam discussion.
There's a sign.
There's
when
a sign.
When you walk out of the elevator, because basically, let me explain what happens for people who haven't played it. You do this intro thing, which I thought was actually okay. There's a bit in the beginning that people talk about, but I thought that the actual gameplay, other than the mini boss battle with the lever that I had to try and pull, everything else felt okay. And then you get out this elevator, and the elevator part's cool as well because they like throw you up into the air and stuff. I thought that was really good. And then you're in this hub area. And this hub area is where you've got all your little modules. So you've got like a sandbox, you've got your parkour, you've got your tack trails, you've got your arena mode. This is all the stuff that to me is like bonus content that you do after you've finished the main campaign.
Yeah.
So I'm walking out and I'm wondering what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. I'm thinking, is this the game? I'm literally looking for a door that says story or campaign or something that so I can carry on playing the game, because that's, to me, the game is the story, the campaign. That's what I bought it for. And I'm walking around and I do like you, and I walk up to the top and I find this crane thing and I'm moving this crane thing around. I've got no idea what I'm doing. Eventually, there's a sign that's kind of near the elevator that you come out, and it says on it that you have to go into, I think it's like 4 modules or something. So you have to complete 4 of these modules to progress. But the problem is that when you walk out, obviously the first thing you're going to do is start looking around. The sign's quite far away from the elevator, and the text doesn't show up until you stood pretty much right in front of the sign. I just don't understand. If it was so important that they wanted you to know what you needed to do, move the sign closer to the elevator so you can see it more clearly, and have the text appear when you're not stood right on top of it. And even then, why the hell do I need to go through all this bullshit tactile and stuff like that just so that I can progress with the rest of the game?
Yeah, the campaign's behind a locked door with all these like steel bars.
It just felt like a padding. Yeah. It felt like because the campaign apparently is shorter. It's about 5 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
But that's including doing this sort of bullshit. So to me, it felt like they knew that they had a shorter campaign, because Boneworks took me about 8 hours, so it was a decent length campaign. This feels shorter, and you're still having to do all this bullshit as well. So it's just some really weird design decisions. And then even when you've done the few of the modules, you would then have to go up to do this crane thing where you move the crane around and you have to move these things to this other place. And
it's so slow.
Yeah, you're literally just moving a lever. Like when I was moving the lever, I was picking myself up. I don't know if you found this. Like sometimes I was moving the lever down and I was lifting myself up into the air while I was just trying to pull a lever. It was just so clunky. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so I got like 2 of the pieces in from the crane, and then it was just so slow that I just said, fuck this, because I read someone say, if you go to the info board, you can just bypass that whole crane shit and go right to the next level. So I went to the info board, and I was like, oh, there are all the levels. And I went right to the next level. And then I was like, well, I'm curious, can I just go straight to the end of the game? And I went to the info board, and I was like, yep. I went right to the last level, and I beat the game. This was out of curiosity. At this point, I'd already decided I'm going to refund this, so I don't care. I just wanted to see if that was possible. And I found out, I went back in yesterday, and that's no longer there, so that's a bug that they fixed.
Yeah, because you can play it through my account if you want to carry on with it. But
I don't think I want to carry on. Yeah,
I don't recommend you carry on with it. It's absolute crap. I mean, I wasn't playing it through it because I want to make a video on it.
And I think they did that.
I would have refunded it, to be honest.
I think they did that crane shit to add on time so that like people that want to get to the campaign, so that they end up going past their 2 hours. That might be, I don't know, that might be a conspiracy theory. I don't know.
I think they definitely tried to pad things out. I definitely think they realised that they didn't have enough content. I mean, the actual stuff, like I say, like a moon level where you do nothing, it's just there's a one where you get in a go-kart and you just have to drive around the go-kart track three laps on your own. You're not racing or anything. There's no one else to race against, and the go-kart feels like shit. So I ended up getting out of the go-kart and walking. So it took me 7 minutes to walk around this track, and then I finally get to the end and my right hand's bugged out. I can't finish the bastard level because to finish a level you have to grab these orb things and you have to split them apart to get your avatar. Well, my right hand wasn't working properly. I couldn't grip things. I didn't think about it at the time that was going to stop me from progressing. So I'd spent 7 minutes walking around this track feeling like frustrated. Finally get to the end, get the orb, and I can't even finish it. So I had to reset the bloody game and do it all over again. It just, I've just honestly, the games, I hate it. It's one I never thought I'd hate a game, but I hate this game.
So do you wish you had refunded it? You said.
I would have refunded it if I weren't making a video about it, because I've made some videos about Boneworks and they've been popular. So I'm going to make a video about this and compare physics and stuff. But the game itself is just. I mean, if you're not into sandbox stuff, just don't bother, because that's the only reason you're going to probably get any enjoyment out of this game.
Aren't you going to upset all the kiddies if you say negative things about them?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I honestly don't care.
I wonder if part of it is the name with Bone, if that's what they think is so... Like, I guess it's... I have a theory that the kids love these games where you can just, like, do anything you want.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of young people, for whatever reason, they like... this freedom where you can do whatever you want. But what I find with this stuff is, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but there's not really that much interesting stuff you can actually do. Because once you've shot a few brain dead enemies who basically don't really attack you or do anything,
Yeah.
I mean, the AI on this thing is absolute crap. The
Yes.
enemies are the exact same as in the first game.
Yep.
They just reskinned some of them. Like there's a skeleton who's exactly the same as the zombie type things. He's just a skeleton instead, and they're constantly fumbling and falling over. They can't walk around an object. They don't really attack you. They're just crap. The only ones that do attack you are the head crab ones, which I think are reasonably fun. But they're obviously just rip-offs from Half-Life.
You can just
And then
grab
they've got-
those with your left hand and just beat them with your right. And
They're not hard,
Yeah.
but they can take you by surprise sometimes and come
Yeah.
running at you. I find them the most interesting. And then the guys with the roller balls, because obviously they can't get people with legs to move properly, so they put some guys on roller balls that are rolling around. It's just, I don't know. It's just really, it's a weird game to me. And I find it weird how much of a cult it seems to have built. Where the game went up live, and immediately it had thousands of reviews of people just putting stuff like bone, bone.
my boner
and like-
works.
and they've not even played the game. So it's
Yeah.
just, if you actually read the reviews on Steam, there's a lot more critical reviews compared to Boneworks. And that's because a lot of people wanted this game to be obviously Boneworks times 2, and it's just not. It's just not that at all.
Another weird thing about it, I thought, was that there were vocals in some of the songs. So you're working on a puzzle, and then there's this guy screaming vocals. That was so weird.
The music's good, but it
yeah.
doesn't fit with the game. I think that the first game had better music in terms of it felt like a video game music, and it fit with what you were doing. Whereas this is just kind of like, they've gone to the same guy, they said make some cool songs, and then they've just copied and pasted that soundtrack on that section without really any relevance to what you're actually doing. And also, the way that they blend the music is that you walk to an area and the music starts. If you walk out of that area, it immediately stops. It doesn't fade out or anything. So you can literally walk over like a line, and then you can walk back again, and it restarts the song from the beginning. It don't even carry on. It's literally just stops, and it's just... I don't know what the hell's happened to Stress Level Zero, because I used to think they were really talented developers, but I don't know what they've been doing for the past 3 years, because this is not good game design in my opinion.
I've actually never liked a Stress Level Zero game, and I've bought all of them. I got Hover Junkers, I got Duck Season, I got Boneworks, I got Bonelab. I don't like any of them. I mean, the one I like the most of all of those would be Hover Junkers, because that was a 2016 VR game when I first got my Vive, and it was cool that you could float around on these platforms. It was a problem for anyone with motion sickness, but you could build up your platform with parts you find on the ground, and it was a cool multiplayer game, but I'm not really into multiplayer games. And Duck Season I hated probably more than Bonelab, because I just hated the gameplay. I don't know how you felt about it, if you ever played it.
I never played Hover Junkers because that was one of the early games, and I didn't get into it till I think a couple of years after.
Did you play Duck Season?
I played Duck Season. I mean, I like the idea of it. I like the
living room.
I like the way they've done it, but it was just the same gameplay over and over again.
Yeah,
it wasn't really interesting.
I couldn't stand it.
I think Boneworks is a good game overall. I do think that it's not the best game ever made, like some people say, but I think it was one of the better games that we had, especially with the campaign and everything. It's just, this one's just, it's just not it. I mean, I think mods might help it. I mean, that's the thing that people keep going on about. But even the mod support's basic right now. You can only import things into the game. You can import basically avatars, you can import levels, but the levels are just going to be empty areas that you have to, spawn your own enemies and stuff. It's not like they can make a campaign or anything right now. So for right now, I think it's going to take a while, and I'd be interested to see how mod support grows. I think there's definitely going to be a big community, but from what I've seen so far, all that people are doing is just importing, now I'm Batman. Now I'm Superman. Now I'm another anime girl. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's not interesting to me. That's not gameplay. That's just, I don't really care if my body looks like a 12-year-old anime girl. I want gameplay, and for me, the gameplay is really bad in this game.
Did you play with your anime boobs?
Yes.
Of course. See, that was the one of the things I was looking forward to, but I refunded it 1.7 hours before I even got anywhere.
Well, you can go back in with my account now and play with
Yeah.
avatar boobs and
Okay.
use your dick tracking. So, I mean, if you want to do
Yeah.
that, that's something you could do.
I might have to do that.
But even the avatar boobs, I've seen better boob physics in other games. So.
Yeah, you would think if there's something they can get right, it would be the boob physics, but come on.
They jiggle, they jiggle
Okay.
about, but
All right.
that's it.
Okay. So
Anyway, as you can tell, we love that game and we
Yeah.
recommend it. You can go and buy it straight away.
Yeah, it's only $40.
What's
So
next?
you're up with Trombone Champ.
Oh, Trombone Champ. Yeah, something fun. This was a bit of a surprise. Never even heard of this game. It's a bit of a meme game where it's basically the flat game. You have a mouse and you kind of like move your mouse up on a bar, and you just have to match up where the mouse is, where the lines are coming. Kind of like Guitar Hero or any of those rhythm games. And then when you press the button, it makes a sound like a trombone's playing, but it's kind of like a funny comic sound. It's not
Like a fart sound.
A bit farty, yeah.
Yeah.
And for some reason, maybe I'm a simple man, I find that funny. I just do. I just play it, and it makes me It makes me smile when I'm playing it. So there's a VR mod now which lets you use your hands like you're playing a trombone. So you've got one hand holding the trombone, another one's moving the slider backwards and forwards, and the slider moves the bar, which should be the mouse, and you press the trigger to do the noise. It's very simple. I have fun with it. If you like that sort of thing, you probably enjoy it. I've enjoyed it. I'm still enjoying it. It's good for like 10, 15 minutes sometimes when I want to get my frustration out of Bonelab. I can just put that on and do something funny, and it cheers me up.
I played it yesterday because I got the neon white mod, and then I was just like, well, while I'm here, I'm gonna get this Trombone Champ one, and then so I actually bought Trombone Champ because sometimes I can't access your stuff.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't get it. All the
Refunded
shit
it.
about baboons and all of the other.
Oh, that stuff. I just found it just funny, just the noise and the
Yeah.
because you're playing songs that you kind of know, but it just sounds. It's like a shittier version of a song you know, but you're actually making the noise yourself. It's just one of those things. I think you're either gonna find amusing in it and enjoy it, or you're just gonna think, "What the hell is this?"
I heard it was juvenile humor, so that appeals to me. But it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. Either it wasn't juvenile enough or it wasn't adult enough. I don't know. I don't know what the issue was. But like, rhythm games have never really been my thing. Even though I like Ragnarok a lot. I don't know. Oh, and also, you're only seeing a little flat screen in front of you, and then you see a 3D rendered, trombone in your left hand. But it's not full VR where you're totally 360 degrees surrounded by an environment.
Yeah, I think he is already working on stuff like that with the mod. I think
Oh, he is? Okay.
He's adding like a stage and stuff, and he's going to make it so you're literally on a stage and
Oh, okay.
things like that. Apparently, the developer's interested in making an official port with this guy, so
Oh, wow.
it might end up coming to Quest as well as an official thing, which I think would be a good thing because I think it'll sell well. But I mean, there's not much more to talk about really.
Yeah.
You make fart noises like a trombone, with your hands. Basically, that's the game. You're either gonna like that and find it amusing and fun, or you're not. So
I fart a lot, and I love fart humor.
Oh, I fart so much.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know. Maybe it didn't sound enough like a fart. I don't
No,
know.
it doesn't sound like a fart. I mean, it's not like it actually sounds like a trombone that's got like a bit of a farty tone to it. It's not like a. You'll just Google a video of Trombone Champ and listen to someone play the song, and you'll immediately know whether it's for you or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever play an instrument? So I never did. I'm not a musical person.
Apart from my dick, no. I'm not playing instruments.
Yeah, I'm good at that. All right. So
Talk about
what am
dicks a
I?
lot today. Man.
Yeah. Well, So what's? Am I the next one?
Yep.
Talking about Grid Leaper. So this was only $2. I don't know if I think that's a sale. I think it's normally $9.99. At $2, I say yeah. It's a game. It's a speed run game where you climb. You grab these blocks in front of you, and there's a lot of levels. And it has this '80s synthwave music, which is pretty good. And it's fun, but at $10, no. But I would say, yeah, $2 for sure. It was $1.99. It has leaderboards, so I really like. You can see, where you are on the leaderboard, the global, and then also you can compare to your friends. But it's very simplistic looking. It's if you liked Climby, those types of games. I never played Climby that much. Never didn't like it that much. But this was fun because of the leaderboards. I think is what made it more fun to me. Then I played Devour, which is a co-op, I think up to 4-player horror game. It's only $5, and so it was a flat game where they added VR support. So I think it's kind of like Phasmophobia, except in Phasmophobia you're trying to find the ghost and identify it. In this one, it seemed more like you're trying to complete an objective in the house without the ghost finding you. Like so you went around collecting keys and collecting items, and I was in this farmhouse and I had to unlock this cage to unlock these baby goats. But then I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do. I watched a video and it's like, oh, you had to go get hay outside and then bring it in and use the hay to get the baby goats to stay still because these little bastards are running around like crazy. And then you can pick them up because I couldn't pick them up. And then you take the baby goats over to this fire pit area where you sacrifice them, I guess, to the devil or something. I don't know. So that gameplay to me is more interesting than Phasmophobia. I don't like the whole Phasmophobia, let's go identify the ghost with cameras thing. I never liked that.
So is it a hide and seek type thing, or do you actually have weapons and stuff?
I didn't have any weapons. I don't know if I had a flashlight. I don't know if you can get a weapon. I never saw one.
Right.
But I read after I played it that you can use your flashlight to stun the ghost. So when I see ghosts in these types of games, I don't get scared. I get excited because I want to go up to them and see what they'll do. So I went up to this thing that was like, rah, this lanky, tall woman ghost thing. And I went up to her and was like, hey, bitch, what are you going to do? And I was up in her face and she wasn't doing anything. It took a long time for her to finally kill me. And I think it must have been my flashlight. I must have had it pointed at her and that must have been stunning her. I don't know. It seems like it could be fun with multiple people. I was just playing single player. It's only $5. There were some performance issues when I was outside, but once I got inside, I didn't have performance issues, and it looked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it for that one. Oh wait, one more thing.
Go on.
Before you start the level, there's this professional sounding narration where this narrator tells a story of the house and what's going on there and why you were there. And I thought that was nice because Phasmophobia, last time I played it, you just show up at the house and that's that. I mean, you just walk into the house. There's no explanation that I remember. Nothing about the ghost or what. Of course, you have to identify it, so I guess that's why. Anyway, that was all.
This is definitely something I won't be playing, but
yeah,
I don't like horror stuff.
You're not going to get up in the ghost's face and taunt her?
The thing is, it sounds like if the flashlight is the thing that stuns her, then that kind of feels like a bit of a flaw because then you could just walk up and it's not really doing anything. That takes the fear away to me, but I don't know. I mean, I've never tried it, but I guess you would have to. Yeah. You would have to probably just be scared enough to see it and then just run. Because if you realise that the flashlight's just going to stop it from attacking you, then all you got to do is just keep the flashlight on it, and you're good to go.
I think you can run out of batteries, and maybe that's the issue. You run out of batteries, and then you can't.
But it sounds like you were stood there for quite a while, and it didn't even attack you, which don't really do much for your fear, does it? So.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was an issue with VR, that the ghost didn't know I was there. I don't know.
I don't know. It's one of those things that I'll never try anyway. What's next on mine? So I've played a lot of mods, as you can probably tell. I've played. There's a Raft VR mod came out. I think it was a day before or after Half-Life Alyx 2 VR mod. And if you've ever played Raft, you'll know what it is. If you haven't, it's basically you stand on a raft, you have a hook, you get loads of plastic and wood and stuff, and then you build and craft stuff to survive on the ocean. That's the game. And I don't like it because it's boring. So the VR mod is good. You can actually throw the hook with your motion controllers. So you literally throw it out and then you press the trigger to bring it back in. And there's a lot of like laser pointer stuff for menus where you use your hand to point at things what you want. And you've got a spear which you can physically hit the shark because there's a shark that keeps attacking your boat. And then you've got little islands that you can get off and get more stuff to build more stuff on your little raft. But I'm not really into these survival stuff. And this one I wanted to try out because I kind of want to do it with friends and stuff. I thought it'd be fun. But after about an hour and a half, I got bored and I refunded it. So I'm not bothered about that one, personally. Have you tried the Raft VR mod?
No. Is it anything like Subnautica? Because I love that.
No.
No.
Subnautica's are way better because you're actually doing stuff. You're in an interesting world.
Okay.
Raft, you're literally on a raft. All you can see is water around you with the occasional island. And the islands are just... Apparently there's more to it later on in the game, but you have to grind a lot to see it. And I just couldn't be bothered to do that.
Okay. So last night I saw that the Steam Next Fest just started. So they always have VR demos. So I was like, all right, let me just try some of this. And I figured, as usual, this stuff's probably gonna suck, and I was right. So the demos I tried were Grimlord, which is like a medieval like RPG. There was no RPG element that I saw. It was just really basic.
It looks like Hellsplit Arena to me, like visually.
Yeah, you're running around in this castle, but the enemies are idiots. They're terrible, and I mean, I was just running past them all, not even having to fight them. They were so stupid, and it was like the graphics were good, but that was it. Nothing else was good. Then I played Black Trail, which is like a cowboys and Indians thing, maybe.
I didn't even know all these were available, to be honest.
Yeah, it just started yesterday, I think, and that was bad. That was it was one of these. You ever played a VR game where you move the left stick for the first time and you're like, whoa, that's way too fast. And I like fast, but it was like, did you guys not even test this? You move around so fast that it just makes it feel cheap, and then the gameplay is bad. It's not good at all. You're just running around shooting guys, and it's not interesting. Then I played Unification. This was sort of interesting because you can rotate. It's a puzzle game, sort of like Portal maybe, and you can rotate the world around with your right analog stick. So you press up or down, and that rotates the world in that direction. I had a hard time figuring out what I needed to do, but it seemed like there's something there where they could maybe make that a cool game. Then I tried Unblocking. It was just like a very basic puzzle game, sort of like Tetris, but nowhere near as good as Tetris. Don't even bother. So I didn't see anything else in that Next Fest that interested me. Just those 4 were the only one I tried. Only ones I tried.
The Black Trail looks like visually it looks okay.
Yeah, it's another one of these games where they got they made the graphics look good, but then the gameplay's terrible. That's right. Just like Grimlord.
What is it going to have a campaign, or is it going to be just like, I don't know, I'm looking at the description. Is it going to be some sort of...
They said in the demo that this is a level just made for the demo. Right. So, and I put a puzzle piece on a map to tell it where to go, and there were lots of places on this map. So I guess that's how you're gonna pick your next level.
Yeah, it says it's got levels and stuff, so it's not like I was thinking it might be like some sort of roguelite or something. I don't know. It looks interesting, and maybe if you leave your feedback, they might be able to improve it. Because I think we could do with a good Western kind of VR game. I think that could be cool if it's done right.
Yeah. So far, it's not. But
right. Yeah.
So that's it for those.
I'm just looking them up now. So what's the other one? Unification.
Unification. Yeah, unification and unblocking. Those both have much more basic graphics than the first two.
All right.
But
Yeah.
I would rather play both of those over Grimlord and Black Trail.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So what's yeah? Well, after I played Raft VR mod, basically, I still fancied doing some sort of survival game with some friends. So I ended up refunding that and getting Valheim because there's a VR mod for that, which has actually been out for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think you tried this one.
Yeah, I did a video of that one back when the mod, like I think when it first came out.
Yeah, it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it's definitely a nice looking game, and the performance was respectable, not really good, but it was perfectly playable, and it's got like a voxel type of pixelated look, but it works and it looks really nice in VR.
Mm-hmm.
This one's more interesting than Raft to me because you're actually on land and you're going through forests and there's enemies to fight and you get axes and you have to craft weapons and you have to make buildings so that you can eat and stuff. And then you go exploring, and then apparently there's 4 bosses throughout the game that you've got to kill. So there is like an objective with an end goal, and you can go to different islands. You can create a boat and go on the sea. I think I played like 3 hours with a couple of friends, and we didn't really. I mean, it's one of those things with any of these games where you're just going to spend a lot of time grinding.
Yeah.
And that's something that was why I don't like them that much. But when you play them with other people, it becomes more fun. But yeah, if the VR mod's good, it's got physical swinging, so you have to swing and cut trees down with your hands. You've got enemies which you have to physically, hit them. You've got bow and arrow, which works like any normal VR game with a bow and arrow. Crafting's mostly done with menus, and then when you want to build something, you can use your hand to like point where you want it, and then press the trigger, and it'll build it. It's good. I mean, if you like that sort of game, Valheim's one of the better ones, and the mod's really good. So I definitely recommend checking that out if you haven't, if you like survival games.
Yeah, I was in it alone, and I had no idea what to do. I was just running around, just seeing what there was, and like I struggled with building a shelter. I don't know if you struggled with that, doing that with VR controls.
I did it first, but then the guy I'm with, he's put like 100 hours into it without VR.
Oh, okay.
So then he tried it for the first time in VR. Apparently, because him and his wife play it with some friends, and apparently his wife loves VR now, and she's actually playing it in VR. So he whenever they play, he plays flat, and his wife actually plays in VR. And then he's thinking about buying her a headset just for that game because she loves it so much. So it's it's pretty cool. I mean, the actual flat game's third person. So then when you're playing it in VR, you're in first person, so it completely changes your perspective.
Yeah.
And obviously you're in the game, as everyone knows. And yeah, it's one of those things that, like with any of these games, they don't really explain a lot when you go into the game. You have to figure a lot of things out for yourself. But once you kind of get into a bit of a rhythm with it, it's good. But I mean, it's one of those things that I'm not rushed to play all the time, but if I can play with other people, I would definitely put some time into it.
Did you come across one of those giant blue trolls?
I only saw one in the distance, but
Okay.
they were massive, yeah.
One of them attacked me and killed my ass. And I think that's about when I said, all right, I think I'm done.
Yeah, there were some skeleton things that were chasing me because we haven't really got a lot of gear right now, so I can't really fight a lot of stuff like that. Okay. There's these things when you chop a tree down or something, there's these like elf things that are come to protect the environment or something. You have to kill those. And then these other enemies that you kill. But there are some harder enemies throughout, and like I said, there's proper bosses that you have to kill as well, which I'm looking forward to seeing. Apparently, some of the bosses are really cool, and the actual fights are really cool. So, plus, I really want to go. I want to make a boat, and apparently, when you're on the boat and on the sea, it's really good. Like the way that the boat acts realistic with the physics and everything. So you're literally like getting thrown about on the sea if it's got a storm and there's lightning and everything. So,
wow,
yeah, it's got dynamic weather and late day and night cycles. As survival games go, it's one of the better ones, apparently. So.
Okay, you're up because I'm out of games.
Oh yeah. Yes, one more game. I'm not going to talk about this for long because I haven't played a lot of it. But Paradox of Hope was released into early access on Steam, and it's basically Metro 2033 VR. If you've played those games, It looks the same. The atmosphere, they've really done a good job of capturing the atmosphere. It's been made by one guy, so don't expect a full game at the moment. It is early access. Apparently the campaign's really really short, like 20 minutes, but that's just the first chapter. Apparently they're going to keep adding chapters. I played a bit of the campaign. I did run into a game breaking bug, so I stopped playing it, but that was before the game released. The controls felt good. It's got all full body inverse kinematics. You can physically grab things like in Boneworks or something, but without all the jank. You've got a pistol, you've got a knife. There's some like monster things which look a bit shit, but you have to fight those, and it definitely made me jump a couple of times. It's got good atmosphere. There is a raid mode, which is some sort of procedurally generated mode where you go through and I think you have to get loot, and then you can progressively get better loot as you progress. So if you like that sort of game where you keep going in and out, just you're playing it for the sake of playing it, then it might be something you want to look at. But if you're wanting a full-length campaign, then it's not going to be one you want to check just yet because it's still in development. And I've got no idea with one person. It's one of those I think will probably, no disrespect if they listen, but I've seen plenty of these games come out and then never get finished. So I've just got a feeling it's going to be one of those, unfortunately.
A guy I follow reviewed it, and he said he beat it in 20 minutes.
Yeah, the campaign's really, really short because it's literally just one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
It's the raid mode that you're going to want to buy this for. I would look up some reviews because the reviews are a bit mixed at the moment. The raid mode is the thing that you should be concentrating on if you buy it now. Don't buy it for the campaign. That's definitely not. It's not worth it because it's literally just 20 minutes worth of campaign.
I thought it used to have a demo, and I went there to try to get it, and it wasn't there.
There was a demo, but I think he took it down once the game released.
Oh, okay.
So now it's come out.
Right.
There's some issues with the index controllers where you have to download like a.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's not officially supported. You have to download a loadout or custom controller binding in the workshop.
Yeah.
But it still works. I mean, I could play it.
Okay.
The last thing I'm going to talk about, I think we've got some other news to talk about as well. But in fact, this could be, I guess, is news really. Is there's a universal Unreal Engine injector being developed, and I've been testing it. So I've been testing some games, and it's absolutely amazing. Basically, at the moment, if you wanted to make a VR mod for an Unreal Engine game, unless the plugins, which are like the OpenVR and the Oculus plugins, are still left in the code, you can't do it. Most of the games don't have this included because it used to be in there by default, but they had issues where sometimes if even a game's not VR, it would start Steam VR up and stuff if you've got it installed. So I think Epic removed it from the code. So most games, pretty much 99% of games, don't have this plugin code in the actual game. So you could never make an actual VR mod without it. In fact, the two games that have got VR support, which are Unreal, which are MechWarrior 5 and Deep Rock Galactic, which have both got VR mods, the only reason they were possible is because the modders contacted the developers, and the developers were kind enough to put the plugins back into their game so that they could mod VR support in. So that's how they got done. But this injector basically circumnavigates all that so that you can inject VR support into majority of Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 5 games. Now it's worth noting that obviously this is not full VR with motion controls. This is very basic 6DoF. You can lean in, you've got room scale support, but obviously if you've got a first person game and you move your head around, the body's not going to follow you and stuff like that. It works great for third person stuff. So if you want to play, what have I been playing? I've been playing Hot Wheels Unleashed. I've been playing that. Works great. Third person chase cam. I've been playing Crash Bandicoot 4, which plays just like any, native like Astrobot or Moss, where you can see the characters and everything's in front of you, and it's like you're following the character through the world and doing your platforming. Cockpit-based games work perfectly. Well, most of them do. So I've played Gravel That's got a little bit of an issue at the moment, which needs fixing. I've played Ace Combat 7, which works fine in chase cam, but the cockpit cam needs some fixing. Most of the games have got little niggles that need fixing, whether it's some broken shaders, some issues with some of the effects that don't work properly in both eyes. But most of them are playable. You just need to probably just going to need like game specific fixes by someone. But this is just going to open up such a massive list of games. I mean, my wish list went from about 10, and now I've got 70 games on my wish list because of all the Unreal Engine games I've found out about that I want to play in VR. So it's going to be great. It's just not out yet. It's still in development. It's definitely one to keep an eye out for. And there is actually a couple of modders who already want to make a mod for Ready or Not, which is a tactical sort of SWAT team kind of simulator, which looks really cool. So that's going to get a mod with motion controls at some point in the future. And I'm sure there's going to be other games where people are going to now want to make mods, like Satisfactory 5. Is it Satisfactory 5? There's a game called Satisfactory anyway. I don't know what number it is, but apparently that's also a game that people really want, which works with this mod. So I expect that'll probably get motion control support as well in the future.
I think it's just called Satisfactory.
Oh yeah, it's the update. I was thinking because they've just put a big update up, which I think is update 5. So that's where I got the 5 from. But yes, that game I didn't even know about. But apparently it's like an open world game where you can build factories and stuff. I don't know. It sounds weird to me, but they've actually got guns in it, and it's much more than what it seems. And people seem to love that game as well. But yeah, there's so many. I mean, if you overlook a list of games that are Unreal Engine, it's absolutely incredible the amount of games. And there's also games that are coming out with Unreal Engine 5 and stuff, which are going to be playable with this mod, like Hellblade 2, not Hellblade, Senua's. What's the new one called? There's the sequel to Senua's Sacrifice. There's the new Dead Space developer game, Callisto Protocol. There's what's that developer? The Cyberpunk developer now making all their games with Unreal Engine 5.
CD Projekt Red?
Yeah, they're making all their future games with Unreal Engine 5. So there's going to be a lot of future games, there's a lot of current games. The Jedi Fallen Order that's been tested and works in VR with it as well. So there's just so many games.
I think Stray.
This is Stray, yeah. Ghostwire Tokyo. The list is absolutely mind-bending how many games there are.
How do the mod files actually work? Does each game have its own unique files you have to put in there, or is this one thing that you can copy everywhere?
It's a universal mod.
Okay.
So at the moment, it's an injector. So what you do is you literally just fire up the game, and then you fire up the injector, and it injects VR into the game. You put the headset on, and it's all working. So
is the injector just installed in one place on your computer, and that's it?
Yep.
Oh,
You just have it in one place. Yeah.
Oh.
You don't. I mean, it's going to make it even easier to use, but you have to rename a couple of things in the actual injector directory to match up with the XE of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's really easy to use. He did a recent update which adds UI support, so now all the menus appear in VR, so you can actually scroll through the menus. The HUD works in most games, so you've got full functioning. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that needs. We're still figuring out how to do that. Where, like, if you need to disable a shader, or if you need to turn off a post-processing effect or change it. At the moment, we're having to go into commands and stuff to change all that. So we're trying to find a way to do that so that a game can have a specific fix that you can download and just put a file into the folder. So there's still a lot of stuff to figure out, but it's just amazing how it's. And I should mention it's Praydog as well who's doing this. Who's the same guy who did the Resident Evil mods. So it's gonna be good.
Will Praydog be releasing it on GitHub?
It's gonna be free. I mean, I think he's quite a successful programmer in his own trade, so he doesn't need it. He doesn't do it for the money. He's quite well off, I think, financially. He just does it. He says, I spoke to him privately. He says he just does it for the challenge. Really, he just likes to do. He likes gaming. He likes to have these challenges of trying to fix stuff. And this is his latest project. So,
do you think it'll come out this year?
I don't know, because obviously it's down to Praydog when he wants to release it and how far along he wants it to be. I mean, the problem is now that, like I say, a lot of stuff works, but there's always little niggle issues. There's some stuff like I've been playing Crash Bandicoot 4, which works perfect. There's absolutely no issues with that. I've been playing Hot Wheels Unleashed, which is pretty much perfect. But then there's stuff that I have been trying, like there's Ace Combat 7. The problem with that is when you're in the cockpit view, the cockpit sticks to your face. So when you look around, the cockpit's literally stuck to where you look rather than you being in the cockpit. And there's just little niggles like that which need fixing. Some games will need specific fixes. Some stuff he says he can fix universally through the injector. So
there's is there like a certain number he's trying to get to of games that work perfectly before he releases?
I think he's just trying to sort a lot of these niggles out, so that because of it, he don't want to put it out, because once he puts it out, he don't want to do it for a specific game. He wants it to be a universal thing that people can download and use on any game. Okay. And obviously there's a lot of stuff that still doesn't work right now, that doesn't even load, and he don't want loads of people contacting him and with problems.
If he fixes specific issues on one game, does that end up automatically fixing similar issues on tons of other games?
Yeah, that's what he's been finding. He's been finding, because that's what we're doing. There's a few of us that are testing as many games as we can to find issues. And then when we find an issue, he can figure out whether that's something that he can fix on a universal method, so that he can do it so that it fixes all future games that have that problem, or whether that game needs a universal, a specific fix for that game. So that's basically what we're doing. He's recently added OpenXR support as well, which apparently is better for performance if if you're using like an Oculus headset or something, or a Windows Mix VR headset. So he's constantly making progress on it. I'm not sure what there's a lot of stuff that he wants to add as well. Like he wants to try and make, I don't know some of the terms that he uses, but he wants to make it so that the hands in a lot of games recognized, so that it makes it easier for people to add motion controls and stuff for them. I don't really understand all that stuff. He knows more about it than me, but he's trying to make a framework that makes it easier for people to mod, so that it don't require people to have C++ knowledge. Immediately they can use blueprints and stuff through Unreal Engine to mod them, which right now the only way to mod motion controls would be to have a lot of programming knowledge, whereas he wants to try and make it easier. So we'll see where it goes.
Easy for dumb people like us.
Well, I don't think it's going to be easy, but it's certainly going to be easier for more people, so that more people can actually work with it and add more. It's one of those things that if the community could make this bigger than it is, because there's so many games, obviously there's no way that Praydog can mod every single game. So I think he's just trying to make it as universal and as easy to use as possible, so that people can then build on top of what he's done, and it can just escalate, and we can have, God knows how many games with motion controls and stuff. So
I shouldn't have said like us, because I'm not going to be the one doing any of this.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to do it. I mean, I've already looked into it. I can't, even the basic stuff I struggle with. I just can't get my head around that stuff. So I don't know how the hell he does it, because I think he's one of the top programmers in the world. He does, I think he does a lot of security, like you do, don't you do something with?
Yeah, I do security, but not programming anything.
No, I think he deals with that side, but he's actually one of the programmers on that side of things. Like for cyber security and stuff like that. So he's pretty damn good. He's like one of the. The way he's so fast as well. I mean, I've never known because when you see some other modders, they'll spend months and months working on one mod, and he just somehow manages to do like 10 man's work in a day or something. It's incredible. Yeah, so I thought I'd just let you know. Well, we'll keep updating people on that. Obviously, when there's an actual version that people can try, I'll let people know. But it's definitely something I wanted to mention, because it's pretty exciting for the VR modding community.
Okay, so now some upcoming games in October. Half-Life 1, a VR mod. It's on Steam now, so you can wishlist it. It's coming out, I think, October 20th. So I'll be playing that for sure. Then Requisition VR is a co-op, I think 4-player, like zombie survival crafting game. that was supposed to come out earlier and it got delayed, but now they're saying I think October 20th. And those are the only two games I've thought of coming out like or in October that I have interest in. I don't know if you know of any.
No,
But
it's been a bit of a weird year. We've not had a lot come out. Like
yeah,
Bonelab literally got announced and released within a week, so
and I lost
we're
interest
not
immediately.
we're not really
Yeah.
getting. We're not really sure what's coming out. Even now we don't know exactly what's coming out, when it's coming out. I know that Walking Dead Saints and Sinners 2 is due this year,
Hmm.
so
Probably
I'm guessing
late, I
that's
guess.
gonna. Maybe they'll announce it at this Meta Connect thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
October 11th will be the Meta Connect, so yeah, we'll probably get some game announcements there.
Yeah, so maybe they'll announce it there, but I expect November time, maybe this month, maybe I don't know, maybe December we'll get that. That's probably one of the better games we're going to get this year. But there isn't really a lot more to look forward to this year, from what I can tell, unless some other surprise stuff gets released.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we said in the beginning that we focus on games, but there's been some PlayStation VR 2 news and some
Well,
of
it's
the
game
games.
related. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's game related.
they've been getting hands on. Basically, some of the lucky press got invited to PlayStation headquarters, and they got to do a full day of playing with the PlayStation VR 2 and some games. So we've had a lot of impressions and people talk about actual using the headset and playing some of the games that are coming out for it. And there's been some interesting little tidbits and information which I've been, because I'm really looking forward to PlayStation VR 2. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not going to rush out and get one day one, but I just think that we need Sony's support for VR, because the Quest isn't producing the games that I want to play, and I feel that Sony fund some of the best games and that they'll bring out some really good games that I do want to play. So that's why I'm excited. I'm excited not for the hardware, but for the games more
Hmm.
than anything with PlayStation.
So the games I remember: Horizon Call of the Mountain, Resident Evil 8, and then Saints and Sinners. So the only exclusive there is Horizon Call of the
There was
Mountain.
Star Wars as well. Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
That's Galaxy's
Tales from
Edge,
the
which is
Galaxy's Edge enhanced or something.
yeah, because that was originally a Meta Oculus, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
Quest exclusive,
yeah.
and it's now officially coming to the PlayStation VR 2. But it's the enhanced version. And I've got to be honest. I mean, I've tried. Did you play it? Oh,
No,
you've
I've
not got
never
a.
played it.
Because when I got my Quest 2, I did actually try all of the exclusives that I couldn't play on PC, and I wasn't impressed with any of them really, apart from Resident Evil 4. And yeah, it just was very underwhelming for me personally. But one of the things that I found underwhelming was the fact that um, it just visually, I just didn't find it particularly that interesting. I find that the Quest panel, I've talked about this before, is very dull. So I found like it just looked very dull and unsaturated, and the lighting wasn't very good. But when I looked at this looks a lot better visually. I think like they've obviously put a bit of effort into the visuals to make it more of an not next gen, but definitely more of a PC VR equivalent
Hmm.
experience with the visuals. So I mean, I hope it comes to PC VR, because maybe they'll bring it as well. But even if not, then I will probably play this again and try it on PlayStation VR 2.
Yeah, when you have a wireless battery powered device, it probably has to be a dull screen to conserve battery power.
Could be, yeah, could be. But yeah, this looked good. I mean, the obviously the big one that's the only real exclusive that I want to play, which is not enough of a reason for me to buy a PlayStation VR 2 yet, would be Horizon Call of the Mountain,
Hmm.
which we found out a bit more information about the actual game itself, because a lot of people were worried that it was going to be like on rails. Some people were expecting it to be open world, which personally I never did, because obviously the Horizon Zero Dawn games are big open world games,
Yeah.
third person. It's going to be linear. I think they've basically confirmed that now. So you're basically climbing a mountain. You're going to be going down these set paths, and then along the way you're going to have these big, gigantic dinosaur robots to fight. You've got a bow and arrow, which is going to be your main weapon, which is the main weapon in the main games. And from what I've heard, it's actually pretty good. I mean, there's some things, I don't know if you heard about this, where they've said that when you're in combat, You haven't got
Yep.
free movement. You're kind of on a rail, but you're in
Yeah.
like you're effectively circle strafing around
And you
the enemy.
grip it and kind of throw yourself along the
Yeah,
rail.
you can use hand gestures apparently to kind of like move yourself, like sidestep
Okay.
side to side. And I think you can use the thumbstick as well, so you've got that option.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know how I feel about it. In some ways, I would like to have free control, but in some ways, I feel like it could make for some cool because they can control what you're doing and where you're moving. I feel like that could allow them more freedom to set up some really cool set pieces and moments.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're stood anywhere, how are they going to know where you stood? How are they going to know where you're facing? How can they put those set pieces in? Whereas if they know that you're going to be facing the enemy, you're going to be on this track, they can do things where they can have the enemies do certain attacks and stuff which they know that you can dodge. I don't know. I'm very mixed on it. I don't think it's going to be as bad as I think some people think it's going to be, personally.
I played all the way through Horizon Zero Dawn first person in VR with the Luke Ross mod, and I never had any issues, but they're probably worried about motion sickness,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
probably the a big reason.
I get what you're saying. I don't know. I mean, I'm just not going to write off based on that personally. I think
Yeah.
that, I mean, the rest of it's free movement. So you move throughout the rest of the game. You're climbing a
Hmm.
lot. You're doing like zip lines and stuff. Apparently the visuals. I mean, the visuals look good in the videos,
Yeah. In the
but
videos.
from what I've heard, it looks as good in, if not better, in the headset. I was worried that it was going to look blurry. So that's good to hear. Obviously, this headset's got eye tracking, which does a foveated rendering, so that where you're looking, it does a higher resolution where you look, and then the
Hmm.
rest kind of bleeds out. And apparently that works really well. People said they couldn't notice that it's doing that, but it's apparently helping with performance. It's using HDR displays, which apparently are really nice. In the difference between the light and the dark, really the colors pop. So you're not gonna have the like Quest problem where you're gonna have those muted, kind of like desaturated colors and stuff as well.
But multiple people noticed reprojection and Mura.
Yeah, because the original PlayStation VR never ran at native resolution, never native refresh rate.
Maybe one
So
game did. Like
yeah,
Platinum
but like some
One.
sort of basic
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah.
shitty game. But
Yeah.
everything else was running at either 45 or
60.
was it
Yeah.
60, and
Yeah.
then they would double it to 90 or 120, and it's exactly the same with this. So it sounds like they've not really improved the reprojection system,
Mhm.
unfortunately, which I was hoping that they were going to maybe put some, because obviously Oculus have got a really good reprojection system with their ASW,
Yeah.
but it seems like they haven't done any work on that side from what I've heard from impressions. But you've got more experience with that than me because I've never tried a PSVR. So.
Yeah. So I had a Vive first, and then I got a PSVR, and for me, it was noticeable immediately that there's, if you're in some game where you're just kind of sitting still doing puzzles, you're not going to notice it much. But if you're in a game with motion, yeah, it was very noticeable the reprojection issue. But there were people I talked to that never noticed it, but I think they were people that were primarily PSVR people, so maybe they weren't used to 90 hertz VR, so they didn't really. You're just not going to know any better. And then for me, another big issue was Mura. My PSVR one had really bad Mura, which is where pixels are different, are lit differently. So some are brighter than others, and you end up just seeing this fixed pattern. And sometimes people say it's kind of like having a thin layer of linen over the image. So it's not a screen door effect. It's
It's between
yeah.
the two eyes, so it's like the different screens have slightly different brightnesses or something. Is that right?
I'm talking about the pixels themselves. Like
Yeah, I thought it was the difference between the two eyes or something.
it's not the two eyes. It's,
Oh right.
it's like a pixel is lit, I don't know, to a level 5. Then the pixel right next to it is lit to a level 3. Then the pixel
Oh,
next to it
interesting.
is lit to a level 4. So in a game where like it should be like you're looking at an object where it should be a uniform brightness on this wall I'm looking at, I'm seeing varying levels of brightness. And as I
Right.
move if you keep your head still, you're not going to notice it much. But I'm not somebody who does that. I've watched a lot of people play VR and they keep their head completely still. I don't know why that's just how a
Yeah.
lot of people play. I move my head around a lot, and the more you move your head around, the more you'll notice this Mura issue with PSVR 1. But it could be that I had a bad one, and some people have better panels, and they were OLED, just like this new PSVR 2 is going to be OLED. So when they first announced OLED, I was worried about that because of that reason. But you would think by now they'd have better panels than back then in 2016.
Yeah, I've heard that it's more noticeable on blacks or something, but
Yeah,
I
darker
don't know.
colors make it more noticeable. Yeah, I played in Resident Evil 7 and in this game Gollum, it was very noticeable in those for me. But if you play like Astrobot, nah, you don't notice it because that's like a bright, colorful game. It doesn't bother you in that game.
Yeah, it's something that I've not really noticed before. Did any of the
I'm
other headsets that have
no,
it, like the Rift or anything?
I never saw anything like this what I'm talking about in Rift or Vive. They both
Right,
had their own Mura issues, but it was what you were saying about how one eye is different than the other. I experienced that on my Vive,
right.
but not this specific PSVR Mura thing. You
Right,
can Google PSVR Mura and you can see an image of someone showing and attempting to show what it is like.
right.
I think the image I saw was on Job Simulator, and it's maybe give you an idea of what I'm trying to describe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. There's those two issues which have people who are more experienced have mentioned. Majority of the press kind of didn't really talk about that because I think that doesn't probably show that the mainstream majority of people aren't even going to notice because
Yeah, they don't know any better. Yeah.
people aren't going to see that, and I think PSVR people who have already got PSVR aren't going to notice because it's already in there with
Yeah.
what they've got now. So I think it's going to be more the enthusiast level people who are a bit more fussy about that stuff are going to probably find that more distracting.
Yeah.
But it seems like if you're just more of a mainstream gamer, which I'm hoping that a lot of people will be that buy into this, they're probably not going to notice it. So it might not be that big of a deal for most people, but obviously if you're fussy about that stuff, it might affect you.
I had a friend who got a PSVR 1, and he said to me, why is the screen door so bad? Because I told him about screen door.
Yeah.
And that was surprising, but what he must have been referring to Mura. I never tried his headset because PSVR 1, that's an OLED, an RGB stripe OLED, so it has less screen door than Vive and Rift, actually. But I think it must have been Mura he was seeing, and he knows nothing about VR,
Yeah.
but he did complain.
It'll be interesting to see as well because don't forget it's got a much higher resolution display.
Yeah.
So it might be there, but it might be a much finer mesh, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, because you've got more pixels. So it might not be as bad as the first PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
The other stuff that was mentioned, obviously, you've got the adaptive triggers, which apparently work well. From what I've heard, it doesn't sound like anyone's really making massive use out of this stuff yet. I think that the main thing that they talked about was like with the bow and arrow,
Yeah.
with where you've got like the triggers which have that resistance before you let them go, and then you've got the head vibration, which apparently people said there's certain moments where like you'll have something swoop down and you'll get like a vibration on your head. And there's something in Resident Evil 8 like when all the flies are flying around you and you feel it. So, yeah. So I mean, it sounds like it's really interesting. The main thing for me is I need more games. It needs more games that I want to play before I'm wanting to buy one personally.
Definitely. Yeah. By the time enough games are out, I bet there's going to be a price reduction on PS5.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm not going to rush out to buy day one. And like Resident Evil 8, I've already played it, so I'm not interested in playing that again personally, even if it is better on the PlayStation. I will play the Star Wars game, so I guess there's 2 games there that I want to play. And I'm also wanting to see what's going to happen with the older games, because they've already mentioned now that they're not going to have backwards compatibility. They've actually announced that officially. And I expect that we're going to see a lot of the older games, just like because we've already had Star Wars, obviously this is coming out with an enhanced edition. They've also announced, was it Firewall 0 Hour?
Oh, yeah, Firewall. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a tactical like shooter, online
I
shooter.
think there's another word on the title, but I can't remember it. If
Yeah,
it's
it's Ultimate.
deluxe, ultimate or is ultra?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember.
Ultra maybe.
Ultra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're bringing out another version of that, which is going to be the same game with a few extra maps, better graphics, and everything. So I think this is what we're going to see. I think we're going to
Yeah.
see existing games on PSVR come out on PSVR 2, but they're going to be like upscaled, better graphics, better controls, and they're probably going to add maybe a little bit of content, and they'll rebrand them as some sort of deluxe or something. I don't know.
I had Firewall Zero Hour, and it was okay, but I was playing with random people on the internet, and that's not that fun. And also, it was like you host the match on your own end. There was no dedicated server, so a lot of matches you just lost
Yeah,
connection all the time. But I think for
I've
this
heard
one,
that.
they're gonna have a dedicated server.
Yeah, they're having
Yeah,
dedicated servers, which
yeah,
apparently is going to help. There was something about the menus as well. Like you spent a lot of time just waiting around and stuff. I don't know.
yeah. There's a lot of waiting. Yeah, a lot of waiting.
So they're gonna do stuff with that.
And they're gonna
I'm
have
interested to see that.
they're gonna have eye. You're gonna be able to use your eyes to select weapons and stuff or something with your eye tracking. I'm not sure how that's gonna
Yeah,
work.
they showed a little bit of footage of that on the
Yeah.
trailer because there's a big I don't know if you saw that new trailer that they've announced, which is
Yeah.
like an official Sony thing,
Hmm.
and you basically use the eyes to look where you want the weapon, and then the
Hmm.
weapon appears in your hand.
Yeah.
I've got to see how that feels. I mean, in
Yeah.
theory, it should just feel natural because you're just using your eyes. But to me, it just feels. I feel like moving my hand, like in Half Life, Alex would feel more satisfying, like that
Hmm.
physical movement.
Yeah.
But until I try it, I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to talk about on that. We've got to wait now, obviously, for more games to be announced. A lot of people are saying that the lineup's not very good, but I mean, we're talking probably 6 months before it comes out, so they're definitely going to be more games. I mean, there's no way that they're just going to have those 4 games. So
Yeah.
I think they said they're going to have like 50 games at launch, and I expect a lot of them are going to be ports from
Yep.
PC, and a lot of them are going to be PSVR 1 games that are going to be re-released. So I don't think we're going to have lots of like exclusive like Horizon. I think that's probably going to be the big one. But I think there's going to be a lot more coming after launch. A lot of stuff like Horizon, big IPs like they've got in there, because Sony have some amazing IPs. So
Yeah.
I expect we'll see some of those get VR dedicated versions as well.
You know, a lot of people were upset about it not being able to play the PSVR 1 games, but I expect that because it's a
I expected it.
It's a console.
I mean, people are gonna hate me for saying this, but I'm actually happy because
Yeah.
to me that means that the quality of the games that are gonna come to the PSVR 2 are gonna be up to a certain standard. They're gonna want developers to make use of the controllers. They're gonna want to make sure that they're not just PSVR 1 games re-released on the PSVR 2. I expect they're gonna have certain requirements that you're gonna get the game on the platform. The last thing you want is hundreds and hundreds of average games
Yeah.
on the platform, and then someone new comes to VR and they've got loads and loads of games to choose from. You wanna curate the best quality games that have got the best support with the best graphics, so that new people coming to VR are gonna be blown away and want to keep buying every game that comes out. Whereas if they buy games that aren't that great, then it's going to put them off, and then they're going to be a bit more picky about what they buy. So
Yeah.
I see it as a good thing. I'm also wanting to play those original games, but I do want to play them in better versions. So I'm personally happy that it's going this way. Well, I can see why some people are a bit annoyed by it.
Also, don't buy PSVR 2 games and expect to be able to play them on your PlayStation 6 with your PSVR 3. Just expect that you're going to have to buy the game again later on. So in my case, you know, I only buy exclusives
Yeah.
for consoles. And everything else PC.
I'd be curious to know how they're going to deal with that with stuff like Firewall Ultra. I'm guessing that's going to be a standalone game that you have to buy again.
Yeah, definitely.
I wonder how they're going to deal with that. There's games like Iron Man and stuff. I really want to play that, so I'm hoping that.
Yeah, well, that developer would have to update it for PS5 and
that's what I mean. There's some
PSVR 2.
really good games like Blood and Truth and stuff like that I want to play. So, but I want to play them in the best possible version with the really good controls. So
yeah, they'll either do a free update, which I don't know why they would, because I don't know that's not going to get them money, or they just release a new version where you have to buy it full price again.
It's difficult because obviously some people aren't going to be happy about that. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously for me, I've not bought any PSVR games, so it doesn't bother me. But if you have bought a game and they re-release it with just a slightly better visuals and stuff, I mean, how does it work with remakes? Like if you've got a game that was originally released on PSVR 3 and it comes to PS4, but as like an upscaled, higher resolution, higher fidelity
Oh,
version.
you mean PS3?
Yeah, I mean they've made remakes before and stuff, which are basically the same game but slightly better.
You have
You have to buy them again, do
okay.
you not? I mean,
No, I had The Last of Us on PS3, and then
did you get it free?
I think because of that, I got it free on PS4. I think so.
Right, because I thought they did like because I know they've done 3 versions of it now. Like they've done Last of Us, and then The Last of Us something else, and then they've done this new one, which they've done. I was wondered how they dealt with that, whether you had to buy it every single time. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, this new one, I'm sure you have to buy.
The new one is, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a ground up remake in it. So
maybe Last of Us was so far at the end of the PS3 life cycle that they decided to do that. I don't know.
yeah, it was very close to the end, and then obviously they released the I can't remember what they called it, but it was just like a remake. It wasn't like a full remaster or anything. It was just like a slightly upscaled 60 FPS thing, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see anyway. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what more they've got, and I definitely want to buy one, but I'm just going to wait. I mean, the thing is, I've got to buy a PS5 as well. If I had a PS5, it might be different, but I've got to buy a PS5 and the headset. So
Yep, me too.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to talk about on that. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I'm all out of stuff to talk about.
That's good. I think we've talked about enough.
Yeah, I think so.
Dick tracking,
Yeah.
all sorts of weird stuff.
Bonelab. The stuff that really matters.
Yeah.
Like dick tracking.
Dick tracking and Bonelab.
Yeah.
That's what you need dick tracking for, Bonelab.
For boner tracking.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So that's it. And we'll have another one in about a month. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every month.
Yeah. And hopefully there'll also be some good news, some cool games coming out, some new announcements.
It's funny because I thought we weren't going to have much to talk about, but we've ended up with a massive list of stuff. So I think most of it's mods though, which has really been holding up my gaming time. So
yeah. All right. That's it. Thanks for listening.
See ya.